What are you passionate about? That's what colleges want to see. They don't want to see the student who dabbles in lots of different things. They want to see the student who's really passionate about one or two things that really mean something to them.
Which types of activities, can help me build my narrative? Well, we'll talk about these in different kind of pieces. So number one's going to be school activities and clubs. Obviously, they want to see commitment, leadership, impact, alignment. Remember that, every other applicant is the treasurer of the XYZ club at their high school. So unless you can do something really special with it, it might be worth looking to really kind of differentiate yourself by looking for opportunities outside of school to help develop your extracurriculars. And then in addition to that, also, volunteering, and community engagement, which we've obviously talked about a bit. But what's interesting about these two is that most students will have these on their resume, right? So most students will have these on their resume. In the next piece, we start getting into athletics, arts, or music. We also start getting into, say, summer programs, and what's a summer program? A summer program that might be given at a university or through a nonprofit or a community-based organization. And summer programs are an opportunity to explore maybe a new academic interest or experience or a skill that may not be available to in your context, but it's in your school or in your region. It can also be used to deepen an interest, or you can also use it as a way to prepare for maybe a tough class that you have coming up in the fall. Like, say that you're doing like a physics course in the fall. You may want to take a physics course over the summer to kind of help prepare you for that. That's totally legit. And then also this idea of professional experience, internships, work experience, and competition programs like the Intel Award or whatnot. And then finally, how do you sort of, consider those particular bullets? Well, I think many people will have these. So you're looking at like what most people have and then what many people will have. And then the question is, how do you make yourself stand out? It's really through passion projects. This is really, the opportunity to really differentiate yourself. So Michael, I'd love to kind of hear your thoughts on what we're seeing up here on the screen, and, how you advise your students as far as, these different bullets.
Yeah, I think, obviously 1 and 2 are pretty, self-explanatory. I think the next section is really interesting to spend a little time on. Because a student has been on a team and maybe even been captain of the team, isn't necessarily that significant to a college if the student isn't necessarily really good at the sport, And so I think we're talking about where athletics or art or music can impact an application. It's the ability to show excellence, to show that you're really good at something. It doesn't have to be all three. Any one of those is perfectly sufficient. And so, for example, a great baseball player, his passion project may be baseball. He's on an outside team, he's playing for his school, he plays in the fall, he's going to different showcases to have college coaches look at him. There's not a whole lot of time to do other things. And that's his passion. That's what he cares about in that respect. So there's nothing wrong with that. And maybe he turns around and then teaches little kids how to play baseball. He thinks about ways of how he continues to be passionate about what he cares about. And the same thing could be applied to a student in art or music as well, too. I really harp on colleges looking at how you used your summer. When I travel to Asia, which I've done for a number of years, I really say to them, and I say it to my domestic students as well, too, colleges want to know that you just didn't sit around and have a good time all summer. And this summer in particular, it's really impressive that you've taken the time and the initiative to show that you sought out programs that, because you couldn't go to a summer class, that you've done something online or continued to do an investigation or projects in terms of that particular thing. When we spoke earlier, the student who's interested in architecture, who does a summer online course this summer in architecture to then be able to apply to Cornell or Lehigh or Syracuse for architecture, can then say, I had this experience. I understand what the program is. I know what I'm going to go into. Professional experience, I've said the same thing all the time to students. And you used the example before, if mom and dad have a business and you don't even step foot in the business, how are you showing kinds of interest in terms of something that you want to go into? an internship, a really valuable kind of experience that you've done things, and shows that as well too. Passion project, I'll give you a great story. I was doing some interviews this week with some students from the Packer School in Brooklyn, Packer Collegiate School in Brooklyn. And listening to their stories, I was doing practice interviews to get them ready for their admissions interviews. And listening to some of the projects that some of these students have taken on kind of just amazed me. And it was, part of me was kind of like, we've got to make sure how you get that into your application. This is what we're talking about today. How does it get into your narrative to tell your story? You know, you're doing research with NYU Langone on some kind of really fascinating thing having to do with cancer. My God, that's so cool. Colleges are going to want to hear and know about it. And you show your passion by doing these kinds of projects, but then you got to make sure the college knows about it and understands the intensity of what you've been doing and the commitment that you've made. Making a commitment, being passionate about something. When colleges see that, that's the biggest thing. I wrote a book years ago, and my entire chapter, what is your passion? What are you passionate about? That's what colleges want to see. They don't want to see the student who dabbles in lots of different things. They want to see the student who's really passionate about one or two things that really mean something to them.
So, what's a passion project? It's kind of like a capstone project. It shows admissions, a context, an achievement, an accomplishment, a project that in many ways acts as the culmination of your experiences through high school. And, for some students, it's a cause, whether that's curing cancer or #MeToo or climate change, Black Lives Matter, plastic oceans. What is all that really kind of amounted to? For some students, it's a cause, and for other students, it's an extreme talent, baseball, violin, along those lines. And, while those particular, talents may not necessarily have a clear sort of capstone experience or project for them, you can take those talents and show excellence and impact with them in other ways. Like you were saying before, Michael, the baseball player who actually takes his talent and uses it to teach under-resourced students, or the violin player who maybe takes her talent and goes into the community and tries to lift people up during COVID-19 by performing a concert every single day online, things like that. There are ways to do it. The question is always, how can I take this talent? How can I take this passion and really sort of transform it into a tangible form for impact?